Hello, 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 and welcome to People Talk Now. I'm your host, VANESSA HERRERA, and this is the show where you ask about it, and I talk about it. And let's not forget, you guys, that we are constantly trying to change the pace out there on what people are calling better days. So yes, welcome, good morning. I hope everybody's doing good today. I hope that you woke up and you're feeling grateful and you're feeling good about starting your day this morning, and that you're not letting nobody get you down. So, okay, first of all, let me just start off by saying thank you so much for watching. If you don't know who I am and you're new to this channel, my name is VANESSA HERRERA and I'm the host of People Talk Now. So I decided that today for episode 46 that I wanted to do something fun because since, in the spirit of being stuck at home and whatnot, sort of, so to speak, I wanted to answer some questions. And so a friend of mine sent me some questions in, and I thought they were really cool because I consider myself a very philosophical person. And so I thought, okay, why not answer some philosophical questions and just kind of, I don't know, give you guys like my take on like what I think. And you can say this video sort of like an about me. Like if you ever wanted to know who is VANESSA HERRERA, what does she even stand for? I'm going to answer some of these questions. It is a lot of questions. It's 205 questions. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably not going to answer all of them, but I will answer enough. And I'll probably come back and do other parts. There'll probably have to be like 4 parts to this, but I'll do them in different episodes. I don't know. But as of now, I'm going to answer some of the questions. So, let's get started with question number 1. And also, obviously, before I get started on question number 1, I wanted to just say that I feel like philosophical questions are a way to like interest a lot of people's attention and just not just people, but it's a good way to start of like why do you think that type of answers and stuff, even though it's like a question with a question type of thing. But like, I don't know, like it's a good way to kind of get to know somebody. And I didn't want to answer like the typical about me questions that people do on YouTube, so I wanted to go with the things that I like that kind of really make me think and start up really juicy conversations. And I feel like with the questions that are here, like that I kind of saw already ahead of time, I didn't get to see all of them, but I did kind of skim through some of them. And from what I could see, the questions are the type of questions that if you answer them, they could definitely help somebody think about life and maybe motivate them to either be different or just do different things. So let's start off with the first question. So the first question is, what harsh truths do you prefer to ignore? I think one of the harsh truths that what is it with like my window? Like, why? Anyways, so back to question number 1. What harsh truth do you prefer to ignore? I would say often I ignore the fact that I just honestly feel like things are just gonna always continue remaining the same. Like I think I don't know why I think that. Like I just do. Like I ignore the truth to that because sometimes I don't really feel like, or no, I'm sorry. I think one of the harsh truths that I often ignore is the fact that if there will be a change at one point in time in history, I ignore the fact because it's a harsh fact, and I think I try to ignore it and like not think about it. And I think you guys would agree with me. Like I feel like sometimes I'm not going to be alive or around to see it when it happens, and so I try to often ignore the fact that that's going to happen. I try to like not think about it and just like live in the moment type of thing. So that's my answer for question number 1. I don't know about you guys. You can put what you would do, or what is the harsh truth that you prefer to ignore. You could put it down in the comments below. Okay, question number 2. Is free will real or just an illusion? That's a good question. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like free will is very much real. It's like all in, I feel like it's something in the mind. It's the power of acting without the necessity of feeling like fate has something to do with it. I feel like you just do what's in your ability to do on your own. Like you just do it. Like you just act. And most of the time whenever we act on something is because it's what's in our mind. And so like, yes, I guess my answer to this is like, yes, I think free will is real. I don't know. I don't think it's an illusion. I think it's the illusion is in people's minds. I don't know what else to say. Number 3, is there any meaning to life? If so, what is it? I feel like this question is like, it's a question that has many answers, and I don't think I can just give it one direct answer to completely answer it, if that makes any sense. But I think, is there a meaning to life? I think my meaning, I can't say that I can speak for everybody's meaning, or in a more general, broad, I guess, answer. But I think the meaning of life can, for me, is just happiness. It's just, that's all there is. It's just happiness. Like when I think of like the meaning of life, I'm like, what is the meaning of life? Like, what is it? Like, I think it's one of those things that I don't want to like bother myself getting so consumed in like, what is the meaning of life? Because if you don't ever figure it out, then you're just chasing your tail. And so I just think like, my meaning of life, if you were to ask me what is it, I think it's to be just happy and to just live your life with like no anger and just live in the moment. So that's my meaning of life. Question number 4. Where is the line between art? Where is the line between art and not art? This is a tricky question. So, you know, speaking from a perspective of someone who's artistic and like someone who likes to write, I like to paint and stuff. You know, it's just crazy because I understand, and I'm not trying to shit on the fact that like there is people who are, you know, who maybe have gotten credentials for certain things and who have studied for years, you know, learning a specific thing, and they're just really good at that one specific thing. And like, I get it, you know, but, I don't think that there is a line. Like, I think art is something that is appreciated by people. You know, I don't know, like, this is a hard question. I think, I don't think there's, I guess I could say that I don't think there is a line between art and not art. Like, cause that's not fair to say, you know, like everybody has their own art. And like, I know like that's not really an answer. Like, and it's just like, this is not me trying to be fair. This is just me trying to say like, everybody has their own type of art. And it's not for anybody to come and say like, and have any fucking kind of right. I don't give a shit what kind of credentials you have. Like, you have no fucking right to shit on anybody's art, because everybody's art is unique. It comes from their mind. It comes from something that cannot be replicated. And so to me, like, that's beautiful, you know, like the fact that anybody would think that they could even draw a line as to what's good and what's not, like, that's bullshit to me, you know. And that's the truth. Like, that's me speaking freely. Like, that's not right. Like, everybody has their own. If you don't like somebody's art, then that's on you. Like, that's just not your taste. You feel me? But like, to say that somebody's art is not art, That's where I get off. Okay, question number 5. What should be the goal of humanity? I think the goal of humanity should definitely be to wow, that's a tough one. Like I don't know if you guys could tell, but I'm genuinely like stumped with some of these questions because, as you guys know, some of these questions is like you can answer them so many ways, and I know that I'll look back on this and I'll just be like, damn, I could have definitely answered that differently. But my honest, like, if I could just go through these questions like fairly easy, which some of them are not easy, but I would definitely say the goal of humanity should be to just leave a less of a carbon footprint on this earth, because I feel like at the rate that we are going as humanity, at the rate that we're like destroying this earth, I don't know, like I don't know if I could say that we're gonna have this earth for another 1,000 years if we continue at the rate that we're going. So I would definitely say like work on just being more mindful and more ethical of the way that we're doing things in this world, and to just try to be more loving and more nurturing and caring towards one another, and reach out to one another, like and really just try to actually change things instead of saying for the views, for the likes, like actually trying to do shit and make some serious impact now. While us, this particular generation, has a chance to do it, I would say do it now. Like, we need to take action now. And that's the one thing that should be the goal of humanity. It's like, we don't need to be talking about things 10 years from now if we don't even fucking know what can happen 10 years from now. We need to be focusing on what's ahead of us right the fuck now. So I hope that answered the question for now. I don't know if I'll feel differently about it when I look back on this, but that's growth for you. Number 6, does fate exist? If so, do we have free will? I used to believe there was fate, but now I don't really know if the more I have these mental revelations, I guess you could say, like, I don't really know if I believe that there is fate. I think everything that happens to us is a circumstance of choices that we decide to make for ourselves. And every time we make a choice, we're constantly living with that choice. Like, it takes us to different steps. Like, we're just going through these different steps, or like these different waves of like life, and so I truly do believe that we have free will, like, because everything starts from our mind, and like we can't even begin to like reach for like doing certain things or like making certain choices if it doesn't come from up here first, so do I think fate exists? At this point in time in my life, I don't really think it exists. And I do believe in free will. So, change my mind. I don't know. Drop it down in the comments below. Question number 7. What does it mean to live a good life? I don't know. I feel like living a good life is like, I wouldn't say like having everything that you ever wished, because essentially I feel like, I think we all know that materialistic things are not going to make us happy. But what does it mean to live a good life? God, I feel like living a good life would be like going through life, never being angry, just living off the land, not having like any bad relationships with anybody, not having animosity or anger towards anybody, like, and just like leaving a good memory. Like, to me, that's like, that's living a good life. Like, you know, just living with the bare minimum. Like, realizing that you don't need anything but the people that you love around you, and like, that's pretty much it, you know? I don't know. That doesn't get any more difficult than that. Number 8, why do we dream? That's a question. That's another one of those questions that can be answered in many different ways. But if I could answer it in just one way that kind of describes me, I would say one of the reasons why we dream is because our mind is like a sponge, right? It's always like sponging up all the info, all the things that we've seen, we've intook through our eyes through the day, and then our mind tries to process it. And so I feel like when we go to sleep, obviously our body is still working. Our body's like still doing things for us internally. And so I feel like dreaming is like all the excess like of things that our mind couldn't process. So like think of it as like dreaming as like diarrhea, as gross as it sounds, mental diarrhea. So like our mind tries to process everything, but like obviously we can't process every single thing like as it's happening, or 10 minutes or 15 minutes after the fact. And sometimes all these things, we take these things to us with us to bed, and then our mind is like trying to formulate like what happened, and so it ends up becoming a dream. I can't go into all the specifics as to why this happens, but that's just the way that I think of it. That's like my philosophy. That's my particular philosophy as to why it happens. I used to look at it way more in depth, but I think during those times, I don't think I was as happy as I was now. And so now I'm able to look at it completely different from before. So it's like we're all going in these cycles. We're all going in these different waves. And I think dreaming is like, it's one of them. It's like a cycle that we go through, you know? Like we dream about certain things, whether they be positive or negative, and you make what you will of them. I think ultimately it's like, if you want to believe in it, let it affect you. If you don't, then don't. Number 9, where does your self-worth come from? My self-worth. I think my self-worth comes from just being a good person. Like, just want to be a good person. And I just want to, I think my self-worth comes from just like knowing that I'm a good person, being a good person, helping people genuinely, and like, and just knowing that I did the least harm I could possibly do to the earth that I'm currently living in before my time is up. So like, that's where I get my self-worth from. I've never actually had anybody ask me, where does your self-worth come from? So it was like, whoa, this question took me by surprise. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like I said, maybe it'll change at another time, but for now, like, that's just how I feel. Number 10, how will humans as species go extinct? Oof, okay, I don't have the answers to everything, but I would say the one thing that's going to like make us go extinct, I would say, is the way that the average American eats. I don't think we're gonna be able to live as a species too much longer, with the amount of pharmaceuticals and the amount of garbage that like the average American puts in their body, I don't think we're gonna live. I don't think we're gonna live that long, you know, thinking that that's gonna continue being okay and like we're just gonna get by. Like, so I mean, I would say definitely it's in the way that people eat, the way that we treat, the way that we're treating this earth, and the pharmaceuticals. I think that's gonna all be a reason why we go extinct. I don't know. Question number 11. Is it possible to live a normal life and not ever tell a lie? I don't know. I think yes. I mean, it's just all like, I don't know. I think it's possible to live a normal life, whatever normal means to everybody. Everybody has their own perception of what normal is. But I don't know. This question makes it seem like as if everybody in the world is lying all the time. Okay. Question number 12. Does a person's name influence the person they become? I got asked this not too long ago. I was actually talking to somebody about this, about names. I don't know. I mean, my name is Vanessa, and I personally, I don't know. I guess I never really thought about my name that much. I never put too much thought into it. But I didn't always really like my name that much, to be honest. Especially because of like the way society tends to be is like, if you get a certain name, it's like it's like you get dropped into these categories, and everyone's just like, oh, your name's Vanessa? Oh, I knew of Vanessa. Oh, and I heard that Vanessas are like, fill in the blank, blank, blank. And it's just like, huh? I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's just like, you know what I mean? It's just like, you're damned if you have a cool name, you're damned if you don't. It's like, I just wouldn't think too much about it. But if I think if you're the type of person that is always getting told like, oh, you have such a powerful name. Oh, you have such a powerful name. Oh, what a powerful name you have. And then you go and you become something of yourself. And you still have that powerful name. And then you feel like after so many people telling you and it gets into your head and you're like, I have a powerful name. But your name is, your name means something. It's something because it's something special. I mean, I wouldn't just like also brush it off as nothing, because your parents obviously gave you that name and it meant something to them, and they looked at you and they felt like this would be you. I don't know if that even makes sense, to be honest. But, yeah. I guess it could influence you. Long story short, yes, I guess it could influence you if we look at it like that. Okay. Question number 13. Is the meaning of life the same for animals and humans? Wow. Well, being a person who always tries to stand up for animals, tries to stand up for their rights, when people are telling me that I'm fucking crazy for standing up for animals' rights, I think, so to speak, yes. And if you were to even ask me why, but here there's no why after this question as to why I think that, but I'm gonna go ahead and answer it anyways because I feel strongly about this. And the reason why I say this is that because animals and humans are so much alike that it's crazy. Like, we may not have to go hunt for our food, but we do have to maybe go out and shop for food. But I think if there wasn't the laws that are before us, and we don't have all these rules and regulations and all this stuff, and we had to go out and hunt for food just like animals did, I think life would be a lot different. And I think that essentially, like, we all want the same thing. I think we want to eat. We want to, live with our family. We want to be close to the ones that we love, which I think animals are kind of the same way. They tend to be with their family. They care for them. I understand, like, I hear this often when I see arguments about, like, people who are vegans and they're maybe arguing against other people who have not yet maybe looked at life in the way that most vegans do. But I would just say, like, yes, I think the meaning of life is the same for animals and humans. Like, maybe they may not be able to communicate with you and I, not like the way I can communicate with you, but I think essentially we all just want to be happy. And and they just want to eat, hunt, mate, create more animals. We create more babies, and I don't know. I think life is pretty much the same. Should be the same. It's not though. It's not equal, but it should be. But then that would mean that if life was equal, then that would mean that we'd have to go out and hunt. But anyways, we'll get back to that on another episode. Question number 14. If someone you loved was killed in front of you, but someone created a copy of them that was perfect right down to the atomic level, would they be the same person, and would you love them just as much? What? I don't know, like, this is a really weird question. But I would say, like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with no, because we're talking about human cloning here, and that's freaking scary as shit. But I think no, because regardless if someone was able to replicate, like, okay, that's like you had a piece of paper, you worked your ass off, you like wrote this whole like story or whatever, and then someone's like, maybe you lost it or whatever, and you're just so devastated, and then someone, like, I don't know, maybe was able to get like a similar copy, but it's just not the same, because when you invested the time in something and like there's all the memories are there, it's kind of, no, that's not really a good example, but it kind of goes along with that, like what I'm trying to say. Like, it's not the same, because regardless if someone's able to make them exactly like how you remember, the whole fact of the matter is that it's not the same, because you don't have all those memories anymore, and like it doesn't matter, like it's a clone, it's a carbon copy, and it's just weird. This was a really weird question. 15. If you could become immortal on the condition you would never be able to die or kill yourself, would you choose immortality? I would say no. I don't know why, but like, it would just seem so exhausting to have to live forever. I don't know if that's a good answer. Don't hate me for it, but like, that's just how I feel. Like, I don't know. It would seem exhausting to have to repeat everything over and over, like in different lives, like all over again. I don't know about all that. Especially if it was just me, like, and not my family, I'd be like, nah, fuck that shit. Okay, number 16. What actions in your life will have the longest reaching consequences, and how long will those effects be felt? That's a really hard question, because I don't really know. Because I feel like I haven't lived my whole life entirely yet, so I don't really feel like I can answer that to the depths of what is actually needed. So, but I would say for now, I don't know. These are really hard questions. Wow. Consequence, like, that's the thing too. It says like consequence, like as if it's like gonna be a bad thing, but I don't know. I would say just like maybe having things that I don't need, and I would say like if it's asking me how long those effects would be felt, as if like I had a bunch of things that I don't need, and say when my time comes or whatever, whenever that is, like if that's why I'm working so hard on becoming like a very minimalistic person, because I just don't want to have so many things and then have to leave that burden to family and all that stuff. Like, I know, like, I know that it doesn't really get talked about that often, but I just feel like that's just not something I would want to do to my family. And so I guess that would be one of the actions. I don't really know. I can't think of anything, because, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, question number 17. How long will you be remembered after you die? I don't know, but I'm hoping for a long time. A really long time. Okay, question number 18. If a child somehow survived and grew up in the wilderness without any human contact, how human would they be without the influence of society and culture? I wouldn't even think that they would be human at that point. I think they would grow up like with animal instinct in the wilderness to just survive. So, I mean, hasn't anybody ever watched Jungle Book or like George of the Jungle back in the day? Like, dude, that guy thought he was a fucking monkey. Like, come on, like, he was surviving, like, straight survival mode. Like, there was, not saying that, like, and that's the thing, like, it shouldn't have to be like that for you to be human, like, to be on, like, constant survival mode, but that's how it is, though. Like, you're out there, you're surviving for you and your family, like, you're going out, you have a job, like, you're working, you're trying to bring home food, you're trying to have shelter, you know what I mean? Like, that's surviving, that's survival mode, but, like, this is more, like, animalistic, where, like, we're talking about a human, a child that grew up in the wilderness and is able to like climb trees and shit. Like, how human would they be without the influence of society and culture? I don't know. Like, I don't know if like a child somehow survived and grew up in the wilderness. I don't think they would be, like, physically speaking, I guess they would be human, but like, I think in their mind internally they consider themselves an animal, so I don't think that they would be human. I guess they would just be like some wild animal. Question number 19. How would humanity change if all humans' life expectancy was significantly increased, let's say to around 500 years? I think if people knew that they were going to live for like another 500 years, like, I think people would be more like chill towards one another. Like, they wouldn't rush. Everything wouldn't be in a rush. I think people would give more things a chance, I guess, because they just would know. And I think maybe people would live in less fear. I think the reason why I say people would live in less fear if they knew that their life expectancy was like increased to 500 years is because a lot of people don't do things out of fear because they think like, oh, this could possibly like harm me, like I could end up dead because of this, and blah 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 blah, and they just kind of live their life in fear, not really experiment and do all the things that they want to do. And so like, I feel like that's one of the things that would like definitely help people. They would be living in less fear because they knew they had more years to live. I don't know. Then again, even if your life expectancy was increased to 500 years, it doesn't mean that like something horrific can't happen and then you still would die. Like, so it's just kind of like, I don't know what to think about this question, but I definitely would say maybe people would have less fear. They knew they could live to that long. Question number 20. Where do you find meaning in your life? I would say I find meaning in like my family. I find meaning in like when I'm in nature and I'm connected to the earth. Like, I find meaning in like stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm a very simple person when it comes to like things like that. But I find meaning in like doing what brings me that feeling of like gratification. So I think one of the things that I love doing is like writing, and like I find a lot of meaning in that too. Like, but ultimately, I think it's just love. I find a lot of meaning in my life from love, like for my family, and like, yeah, can't replace that stuff. Okay, question number 21. What do you think would be humanity's reaction to the discovery of extraterrestrial life? I don't know. I feel like humanity's reaction would be like, aha! I knew it! Especially me. But, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, like at this point, because of the way like movies are now in 2020, like I don't think people would be that shocked. Like they would be kind of like, whoa, really? Like, damn. Okay. But I don't think they would be like, like, they'd be like, I knew it. I knew it. The minute that everybody wanted to, what is it? Everybody wanted to go over there to Area 51 and take over and all that. And yeah, I won't say no more. Question number 22. Will religion ever become obsolete? That's a question that honestly, like, I'm not really positive on that one. I mean, I don't know. I don't think anytime soon. But I definitely think that religion is becoming more acceptable, I guess. And it's becoming more like free, and it's not like how it was before, like I think when it was just like Christians and Catholics type of thing. I think that there's like so many other like religions that are just like being opened up to people's minds and ideas and stuff. And so there's like constantly, I definitely think that religion is not going to be obsolete anytime soon. So that's my answer to that question. I don't want to get into it because I felt myself like diving way too much into it. But like, yeah, I think like not anytime soon. I don't think that if in all this time, like it hasn't become obsolete, I don't think it's gonna become obsolete anytime soon. Question number 23. If you could teach everyone in the world one concept, what concept would have the biggest positive impact on humanity? I think the one concept I would like to teach people is, and one that I'm currently like would like to just basically have myself, is just teach everyone in the world to just basically live in the moment and realize that we're all very fragile, and that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And I know we hear that a lot, but I think the fact that people are thinking that tomorrow already exists when it doesn't, like the only moment we have is like right now. I think that's the one concept I would want people, is to just have that thinking process like that. Like, live in the moment. Understand that you're very fragile. And that's about it. Question number 24. Is suffering a necessary part of the human condition? What would people who never suffered be like? I think I personally feel like because I have suffered in my life, that it's made me who I am. And that all goes with the choices that you make, like I was saying earlier. And so I think that suffering is not necessary, but if you go through it and it makes you the person that you are and you are a better person because of it, then I would say yes. Like, I don't know if we should call it suffering. Maybe it should be called learning experiences. Suffering is such a like word, but yeah, I mean, I would say it's not necessary, but if you did go through it and it made you an amazing person, then I would say yeah. Hell yeah. As you guys could tell, I live in a neighborhood that's supposed to be quiet, but it's actually quite the opposite of that, because I live on a busy street. Okay, so it says, what would people who never suffered be like? So that's like 2 questions in one, which totally sucks. But I don't know what people would be like. I don't think that it's gonna make you any any better or any less, so to speak. But I guess it's one of those things that if you've never suffered, I guess you don't really know what it's like, type of thing. So you're not like, your mind isn't really open to that. And so when someone else who has and they bring it up to you and you're just like, oh, seems like you're making a pretty big deal about it, and you're just like, no, but I suffered, god damn it. Well, I think that's kind of what it would be like, right? I don't know. Question number 25. Does hardship make a person stronger? If so, under what conditions and at what point is too much hardship? If not, what makes a person stronger? Okay, this is kind of similar to question number 24, almost. Yes, I think it does make you stronger, because when something like a tragic event happens, I think because you face so many hardships, you're able to kind of just see it for what it is, like when it's coming at you, and you're just like, okay, you know what? That's cool, like, and you don't overreact to it. I think too much hardship, I don't know if there's a such thing as too, I mean, I would say like a catastrophe or something like that. Like that's a little too much, you know, like, but what makes a person stronger? I don't know. We all become stronger in our own way. What made me stronger is, it was dealing through learning experiences, hardships, suffering, and realizing in those moments of suffering that ultimately, like, it was like when you have those breaking points where you have to tell yourself, like, okay, like, I literally don't want to deal with this anymore. Like I want to be happy. And like, I think that's like your breaking point. That's the point where you're like, this is too much hardship, and like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I just literally just want to be happy. And so I think that's kind of like the point that people get to. Like, that's that, like, okay, this is where we cross the line. But everybody becomes a strong person in their own way. Like, there is no like specific way of how a person becomes stronger. You feel me? But ultimately, I think what's important is that you learn from it, and it made you a good person. Like, it made you a good person to where you're able to share those experiences with people and say, like, hey, this is my advice. Like, this is what I went through, and then, like, it made me a strong person. And either that person is open to the message or they're not. And like, that's just that, you know? Okay, question number 26. Would things get better or worse if humans focused on what was going well rather than what's going wrong? Absolutely. Things would get so much better, honestly, because I think a lot of the times that's what goes wrong, is that everybody starts focusing on all the things that went bad, that they don't see all the blessings that are right in front of them. And so, yes, I definitely would say that if humans focused on what was going well, things would be better for them. because then you don't have any space to focus on negative things. Okay, question number 27. What benefits does art provide society? Does art hurt society in any way? I think art provides people with visual stimulation. So it like opens up the mind. And so like think of your mind as like this little box, right? And I feel like art is this light that finds its way through the cracks of that box, and you just like look out and you're like, whoa, like I never looked at life like this before. And it makes you feel a certain way, like creatively. It makes you feel happy, it makes you feel sad, it makes you feel these emotions. And so I think art provides society like a really good stimulating sensation that, you know, it makes us look at art, not only art but life, through someone else's eyes. And I think that's very beautiful, you know, when you get to see everybody's point of view. Like it shouldn't just be like your point of view, your point of view, your point of view, like, because that's where all the learning comes in. That's where we're able to absorb the learning, when we look through other people's eyes and we try our best to be understanding to other people's lives. And I don't think arts hurt society in any way. I don't think there's any specific way that it has to be, you know? Okay, question number 28. How likely do you think it will be that humans will last another 1,000 years without killing ourselves off? Like I was saying earlier, I think that if we continue on this path of like destruction with like Mother Earth, Mother Nature, and we don't take care of her the way that we're supposed to, and you know, we continue on with the eating and the pharmaceuticals and the way, I can't say that we will last another 1,000 years. And yeah, so I don't see that happening. I don't see us living 1,000 more years if we continue on this way, is what I'm trying to say, because we're like killing off Mother Nature, you know? Question number 29. What do you attribute the biggest success in your life to, and how about your largest failures? I think the biggest success in my life, what do I attribute to the biggest success in my life? If we're talking about people, I would say my dad, for being extremely like, just like pushing me and like helping me break out of like this like little comfortable bubble and shell that I was in. But I would say my success comes from just knowing what I want, and knowing that the only way that I'm gonna get it is if I get my ass up and I go and get it. Like that's it. It's just like that mindset. Like no one's gonna come give it to you. There is no such thing as waiting for the right time. There will never be the right time unless I make it happen. That's that. My largest failures, if we're talking about failures that have been labeled by society, like if society's like, oh, like this is what makes you a failure, I would say it would be like not getting a degree. But even then, like I don't consider that a failure. That's what society would consider me a failure, like because maybe you've gone to college so many years and you don't have a paper to show for it. But I'm over that. Like I'm happy. Like, you feel me? Like I'm happy. And so like if I could say my largest failure, I would just say I wish that like in my younger days I had basically like left every relationship mended and like good with people. And you know, I was better at communicating with people when I was younger than like, you know, like kind of how like I am now. I wish I knew what I knew now when I was younger, so that I can have better relationships with people. And you know, things could have been different. But aside of that, that's pretty much it. I don't dwell on it. I don't like be like, oh my god, it was my life's failure. But like I definitely, you know, like if someone were to ever ask me, I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I wish I could have changed things, but like life is the way it is now, you know? Finally, the last question, because I'm only going to answer 30 because like I said, there's 205 questions. of these, and they're all really, really good questions, but I'm definitely going to have to come back for a couple. It's going to have to be like 4 parts for me to answer all these. So last question, question number 30. If freedom is simply being able to do what you want, are animals freer than humans? I would say yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no to that, I can't say like that's 100% yes, is because there is still animals who are being treated so fucked up currently right now as I speak. There is animals that are being slaughtered in warehouses. There is animals that are being just treated so badly and are not given that freedom that they deserve as animals who are here in this earth to walk and roam with us. And the fact that people think that, or men or women, just mankind, society thinks that they can possess an animal and lock them up in a cage. It's just so messed up on so many levels. And I definitely think that we as humans have more rights than they do. But if like you were to ask me, do I think animals are free? Yes, to the ones that are out in the wild, they're so free. But any animal that is locked behind cages, or any animal that's pretty much in a cage or has to get chopped to little pieces for human consumption, I don't consider that to be free. So yeah, that's my answer on that one. So yeah, that's 30 questions from philosophical questions. There's 205 of them, but like I said, I'm gonna make like probably like 4 parts to this video, not all back to back, but like I'll definitely come back another time and answer some more of these questions because it was really fun, and I wanted to do something like this for a long time already, but I'm glad I finally sat down and like got it done. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope that, you know, anything I said here today, it kind of made you think. If you want to answer some of the questions down below, feel free to answer some of them how you would have answered them. That's completely fine. Yeah, and if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at peopletalknow@hotmail.com. And yeah, as always, you guys know that I like to leave every show with a word and a joke of the day. You know, because I like to leave you guys with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of humor. So we're gonna start with today's word of the day. Actually, no. Let's start with a joke of the day. So for today's joke of the day, prediction: there will be a minor baby boom in 9 months. And then one day in 2033, in the year 2033, we shall witness the rise of the quarantines. You get it? Because, you know, another, like, you know, 2033, there'll be a lot of teens from quarantine. Get it? Quarantine, baby booming. I know, it's corny, but I thought it was funny because, you know, we need those quarantine jokes in. You guys are more than welcome to send me in jokes too, by the way. So just email them to peopletalknow@hotmail.com and I'll gladly share them and give you a shout out, you know? Okay, and last but not least, today's word of the day. So today's word of the day is jink. J-I-N-K. Jink. So the definition is to move quickly or unexpectedly with sudden turns and shifts. Basically, dodging. So don't jink. People talk now. Just subscribe. Did you know, besides the fact that jink first appears in Scottish English, the exact origins of the shifty little word are unknown. What can be said with certainty is that the word has always expressed a quick or unexpected motion. For instance, in 2 poems from 1785, Robert Burns used jink as a verb to indicate both the quick motion of a fiddler's elbow and the sudden disappearance of a cheat around a corner. In the 20th century, the verb caught on with the Air Force pilots and rugby players who began using it to describe their elusive maneuvers to dodge opponents and enemies. Jink can also be used as a noun, meaning a quick, evasive turn, or in its plural form, pranks. The latter use was likely influenced by the term hijinks, which originally referred to in the late 17th century to a Scottish drinking game and later came to refer to horseplay. So there you go. Go out and use the word jink. And yeah, hashtag people talk now. Let me know how you would use it in a sentence. And yeah. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry that, today's episode was very deep on so many levels. But I try to answer all 30 questions as honestly as I possibly could. Unfortunately, some of them were really, really hard. But yeah, it was fun regardless. So yes, if you're new to this channel and you don't know who I am, my name is VANESSA HERRERA and I'm the host of People Talk Now. And yes, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new and you liked this video and you liked what you saw, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know what I could have done better. And yeah, and also don't forget to share with your friends and don't forget to subscribe on your way out. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting every week in, week out, and just being here and being supportive of me and my channel. And I appreciate you guys so much. So as always, you guys have a kick-ass Wednesday. Bye.